Greetings and welcome back to Zord's Planetary Space Program, episode 8 this time. We pick up right where we left off last time. That is, we set up a fuel tanker with crew, and now we are deorbiting this single-use fuel tanker. And we also sent up a gizmo, which, due to me not thinking through what I'm doing properly, I have to move again, because it belongs on the back of this fuel tanker, which is going to Minmus with its modular engines that we have changed to nuclear engines. And we undock our crew, our command module, and because this thing is going in the front of the craft, we need to undock the tanker first. And I remembered that I am actually indeed not thinking through what I'm doing properly, because I put the gizmo on the rear of the tanker, but we're gonna have a pusher there, so I have to dock again, and we're using the IVA view and our command module as a service ship, and it works very well. The craft is small and agile. So we undock the whole thing, and we undock the gizmo with its command module, and we transfer this to the front of the craft, where we dock it, and we then have the rear docking port free for the pusher. So we turn the tanker around, and we make sure the pusher is fully fueled, and then we transfer the pusher carefully over to the tanker and dock it. Have to be careful when we get in between those nuclear engines. It's a bit tricky to get in there without scratching your paint, but in this case I managed it. So now we have our big spaceship. I'm going to plan our encounter with Minmus using the maneuver node improvement mod. It's a bit fiddly, but it works. It's usually more convenient than using the maneuver node system without a mod. So we carefully point our craft in the right direction and push ourselves away from the station to get out of physics range. And now we start our Minmus transfer burn. With 7 engines instead of 4, this is not too hard, or it's less inconvenient than it could have been. And we fly past the station. Because we push ourselves away, we get into an orbit which is slower, or it has a longer period, so we end up behind it, and then when we do our transfer burn, look at that shot. When we do our transfer burn, we pass beside it, or hopefully not through it. So we have done most of our transfer. Now we transfer fuel from pusher to craft. This is pretty standard. And we detach pusher and we slow it down, burn retrograde to get us back to Kerbin, because we have another craft that we need to push. And I'm going to show you which one in a minute. So now we just quickly bring our apparatuses down, program the alarms, and switch back to this one, and yeah, we just plan a maneuver. Put the alarms in, and now we're gonna launch the next craft, which is the next one to be pushed away to Minmus. And again, as always, using the standard launcher, or this is the slightly bigger version of the standard launcher. So it's pretty standard fare, this launch. So I'm just gonna cut to the docking. This is a small tanker, the half-size tanker, which I've seen before, and it is something very similar to the lander module, which is because it is a lander module. It's just not the lander module for the Jovan moons. It's a lander module for Duna. The difference is it's a bit more robust and it has a bit more parachutes. Actually, I was a bit stressed when doing this. You can see I have the Kerbal alarm clock up at all times. So I'm on a timer here. Oh yeah, launching an engine hub again, because this thing we just launched has modular engines, and we need this one up there. But you've seen this 1,000 times, so it's just as usual. But yeah, a bit stressed because I launched the Duna lander module without making an adjustment that I thought of, that I wanted to have done, which is I wanted to launch it without a crew pod or a cockpit or whatever, because I wanted to use the modular one, so I didn't have to bring two. Because now I have to bring two, and eventually, like in 20 episodes, you will see exactly why I need two. Well, maybe not really 20 episodes, unless I really hope not 20 episodes. But it has to do with the command module is reusable, and the Duna lander is not as reusable. And we see here the engine hub, the old engine hub, only has 3 engines because one of them was damaged and didn't have actually an engine on it. In last episode, we saw that there was the one carrying Bill, Jeb, and Bob. So then, because of the symmetry, we can use one of the big engines to deorbit the entire thing. And here comes our pusher back that we're waiting for. And I used the fancy aerobraking calculator tool to get a good estimation of where I need to put my periapsis. And we do some aerobraking. Well, the sun is ruining the shot a bit cooler when you're doing this at night. And then we just wait for the deceleration to slow down, and we start correcting our orbit to get the rendezvous with the Alpha Station, which we eventually get, and we eventually get back to the station. And we dock, of course, because we need to refuel. Remember, when the pusher is undocked from the payload it's pushing away, so before it's undocked, it transfers as much fuel as possible into the ship it's pushing away, because I'm cheap and I want to save fuel. So we quickly refuel it, we undock it, and we dock it to the end of the ship we just launched. And this again has modular engines that are now nuclear, so we have to be careful when docking, because we have to get in between all those 4 engines. But I haven't failed once so far, so it's harder than it looks, I suppose. You just point it in the right direction and nudge it in there, and doop. Yeah. So much for me. Yeah, try it again. Oh, damn it! What's stopping it? Oh. Yeah, there we go. Yes. Good. Now we have another humongous ship that we can dance around with. And dance is what we're going to do. We're going to dance our way all the way out to Minmus. So there's a lot of pretty moments in this game. Moments where you are struck by the beauty of it all. Speaking of beautiful things, we need to plan our Minmus transfer. And with the encounter planned, we do a test fire of the engines and try to push ourselves away from the station to get out of lag. And wait, point ship right direction, do burn. You've seen this 1,000 times. But you have hopefully never seen an encounter this close to a space station at this speed. Yeah, I was a bit lucky there. So we do the burn, we transfer the fuel, we undock the pusher, and because this is not we don't have any more pushes waiting, we're gonna do a slower correction here to get back, which means it will take longer time for the pusher to get back to Alpha Station. But we don't really care, because there's no flights waiting to get boosted out. And our lander module and tanker doesn't even have to do a correction, we just plan an encounter. And now we're finally back to the ships going to Jool. This is the sailfish. It's coming down to its Caribbean periapsis, preparing for its long interplanetary burn. This one has 3 nuclear engines, which is the lowest of any ship, and it's also a high mass ship, meaning that its acceleration is slower. But the most prominent feature is that it has a decoupler, which blocks the fuel flow from the main ship, and it runs only on the 3 tanks it has at the bottom. And this is quite a few minutes in, when the outer tanks are out of fuel, and the inner tank is not. So I transfer out all the fuel, try to balance it out a bit, and this way we can keep running on 3 engines, because running this thing on 1, it takes forever to get anywhere. So we waste all our fuel on this, and actually we need to transfer fuel from the main ship into the tanks for the interplanetary stage to get anywhere, which we eventually do. And the next thing, now we're just really taking care of business here. All the main launches have been done, both the Jovan transports and the preparation for the Duna mission. Now we're just bringing everything back to base, trying to wrap this up. Unfortunately, our pusher comes in at the worst possible time. We're basically 180 degrees from the station, so when we have done our correction burn, we just have to wait a lot of orbits to get there. And I'm not even going to show this because I'm bored. Goodbye!